In the waning light of piracy's golden era, one man's legend eclipsed them all. Olivier Levasseur, an architect turned pirate whose cryptic final message has ignited the world's imagination for centuries. Join us as we unfurl the sails of history to chase the tale of a man who flew too close to the sun of fortune and left behind a mystery that has outlived empires. This is Casual History. Welcome back to Casual History. I'm Jacob, and I'm back with my co-host Jeffrey. What's up, man?
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode. For those who don't know the concept, I'm going to bore you for 2 seconds. We bring in new stories each week. We trade off. This week is Jacob's turn.
That's right.
Last week was mine. So if you haven't checked out that episode, I think it was a really fun one. Take a listen. We did announce some fun things last week, like a new website, casualxhistory.com, and some merch.
I know, lots of exciting stuff happening, as well as just want to acknowledge that we appreciate you guys being flexible. This podcast is coming out on Friday, most likely, due to me just not feeling great yesterday and, being a little tired yesterday. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility and your flexibility, Jeffrey, for hanging in there with me.
It does feel like we have a boss, and the boss is the collective mass.
It is. They're holding us to it.
Yeah.
Which
so
I'm for.
When you say, please forgive us, I think this is going to come out on Friday. It's a very genuine place for him. Jacob, he feels bad.
I care.
And I care as well, but I think it's funny because I do feel the same sense of urgency.
Yeah, man.
We need to get this out for the however many people we want to say listen to our podcast weekly.
I feel like I'm letting them down. If we skip a couple days or it's not there on the table waiting for them, it's like that's something that's really important to us. And so, I appreciate you guys being flexible with this. And it's a really good episode, Jeffrey. We are returning back to our roots, which makes me so freaking happy. We are going back to the sea, Jeffrey. Lots of sea episodes that we've done before. We've done Blackbeard. We've done lots of pirate stories, and we're returning back in a big way with this week's podcast.
I think it just shows our love for Captain Jack Sparrow and the Captain Jack Sparrow only.
Those are great movies, man. Don't let anybody fool you.
That's like my first, I'm not going to lie, that's my first, I think I was 12 or 11. And I shouldn't have been watching this movie, but I went over to a friend's, our parents would never let me watch this movie.
Right.
I think must have been in first grade. And the first Pirates of the Caribbean was out.
One of our cousins, man, introduced it to us. I remember seeing it for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I watched it over at a friend's too late. I imagine it probably was 10 p.m. And I called mom crying because it freaked me out.
Oh, no way. Yeah. Pirates of the Caribbean? Oh, is it just was it the monkey? The monkey do it?
The monkey, the skeletons, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I was a wimp, I guess.
You're in one, Jeffrey. You're in one.
But it changed me inevitably.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. Total 180 at the end.
Yeah, to love pirates. It was a setup. Jake. It was a setup.
I love pirates. I love pirates too, man. It's the sense of adventure. It's the fact that pirates were real. That's a real thing. I feel like most of the time when you're talking about these very high adventure type stories in the past, they've all kind of been made up for movies and different things.
And or based on truth, not fully truthful. But I think we can say at least every pirate act has been real, plundering booty and Tortuga.
Normal Friday.
And, destroying ships and drinking rum. And calling people scallywags.
It's so human. It's so human.
I like how you said returning to our roots, and then you said we're going to the sea. We used to live near the ocean. We lived in Oklahoma for a lot of our lives.
Yeah, landlocked. But that's why I love pirates. That's why we love it, Jeffrey. But yeah, we're kind of heading back there. But those were kind of some of our biggest and most fun episodes that I remember fondly was Blackbeard, talking about all these major legendary pirates. And so when I stumbled across this story, I knew I had to do it immediately. And so super excited to kind of share this in general. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about, this is going to be the name, Olivier Levasseur is his name. So see, I even did that with a little accent. You like it?
It's Oklahoma accent on a French
it's great.
name.
It's
That's
great.
Okay though.
But yeah, have you ever heard any story from this pirate, Jeffrey? Do you have any reference to this?
I'm not trying to bust your balls, but it's kind of hard to know who you're saying from that name. From the name, but no.
Wow, that bad, huh?
Olivier Levasseur. I don't.
Yeah,
that's
Olivier Levasseur.
Levasseur. Okay, yep. I have not.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm about to enlighten everybody on this podcast, and I'm excited to kind of share it. So we could just kind of dive right in, just kind of starting with the early life and background of this.
Set the scene.
Yeah. So in the port city of Colossus, amid the social and political upheavals of the late 17th century France, Olivier was born to a world on the cusp of change. The son of a wealthy family, Levasseur's childhood was framed by the 9 Years' War, a conflict that pitted France against the grand coalition of the European powers. The war's shadows stretched into every aspect of society, influencing the economic and social fabric of his hometown. Colossus, being a strategic port, buzzed with the tales of the sea and the allure to adventure, just like us. It was here that young Olivier received his education, likely attending one of the prestigious schools catering to the elite. An education in architecture awaited him, a respectable and lucrative path that promised a life of comfort and status. He would have been very well versed in mathematics, sciences, and the humanities, an upbringing that set him apart from the stereotypical pirate. Because I would suggest that, most pirates did not have a great education. Maybe that's why they became pirates.
Or they had the best education, like this man.
Exactly.
And they decided it was the most ethical and smart thing you could do at the time.
Yep. And that's exactly where we're headed with this. So,
yeah.
However, the sea's call was irresistible to a young man raised on stories of maritime exploits. The War of the Spanish Succession provided a timely avenue for Levasseur to satiate his longing for the sea. The conflict, which spanned from 1701 to 1714, saw many men take to the waters under the guise of privateering, a state-sanctioned form of piracy that allowed them to attack enemy ships under the protection of the letter of the mark. So the mark just being their colors, right?
Right.
So it was all just a front that allowed them to actually capture ships and take more money than what they actually needed to do.
Honestly, a genius play.
It's really great, especially if you're a sucker for adventure and looking to make a fortune.
How much was, I just wonder, it must have been enough, obviously, to attract pirates, but just how much gold was or booty? How do we want to refer to goods? Goods. We'll call it
however
goods.
you like.
I just feel like it's a pirate episode. We could call it that, but I think that'll get annoying pretty quickly. How much merchandise was being transported by ocean that it obviously spurred on this?
Yeah, a lot.
Wave of piracy.
Even stories that I read and just stuff that I know from obviously some history stories that I've read, they've even had kings and queens gold loaded fully into a ship. They would usually have ships around it to try to protect it from pirates, right? Trying to steal it and take it over. But you're talking even just someone's fortune could be loaded up on a boat. So for sure, all goods traveling across, spices, everything. Yeah. So it could be very, very lucrative if you got your hands on the right ship.
Yeah. And so, as we were talking, just something for the audience, I looked this up. Because that question I just had, I'm like, you know what? I should probably find the answer to provide it to people who are listening.
Yeah.
I just want to provide this anecdote. It says, during the golden age of piracy, it's estimated that thousands of ships were attacked by pirates, and obviously the value of goods vary, but the wealth taken by individual pirates like Black Bart Roberts and Henry Avery, who we did a podcast on, suggests that millions of pounds worth of goods were looted over the course of their careers. So,
wow.
A lot is the short answer.
A lot of money to be made. You know what? Maybe this is for everybody that was back in the 1800s, this was your get rich quick scheme right here.
Your gold rush, yeah.
Laying right in front of you. So Olivier, with his background, may have initially engaged in privateering as a way to serve his country while indulging his adventurous spirit. The line between privateering and piracy was very, very thin, and the riches to be had was a strong lure. The sea offered not just wealth, but also a form of social mobility, which was unthinkable on land for someone of his class. So we can imagine Olivier's early days at sea, like learning the ropes, studying the stars for navigation, and honing his natural leadership skills. He would have quickly understood that success in privateering depended on more than just architectural knowledge. It required cunning, bravery, and the ability to lead men into the most perilous of situations. As the War of the Spanish Succession drew to a close, so did the legal protections afforded to privateers. Many, like Levasseur, were left with ships and crews, but no legal sanction for their activities. This transition to outright piracy was a natural step for those unwilling to return to a life on land. So Olivier Levasseur, the educated architect from Calais, began to forge his legacy as Le Boss, the pirate that would become a legend.
Le Boss. You know,
Boss.
I
What a cool
wonder
nickname.
how hard it would be to forge legal documents back then. Because
I don't imagine that system was very complicated back
exactly.
then.
So when I'm saying it forced them into piracy because they didn't have legal papers, I'm saying, you telling me you don't know a guy on the corner that could forge you a good mark or whatever?
I mean,
Mark.
True. But think about this though, like in the seas, like the sea being so vast, and also like in the 17 and 1800s, it'd be really difficult to find a rogue like ship like that and like bring them to justice. It makes sense why piracy really flourished, is because once you're out to sea with a crew doing this stuff, like how is someone supposed to track you down as like a one ship, right? Exactly. How are they supposed to follow you and find you to stop you? And so it makes sense why this kind of became rampant, especially when like money's involved, right? You can instantly get rich. And plus freedom aspect. You don't really take that into account, but it makes kind of a lot of sense. There were a lot more like almost duties in society, I would suspect, back then. And so like the invention of the car kind of really changed our ability to say, hey, we're just going to up and like have an adventure and just drive to another area. And we have that ability. The ships kind of did that for the 17 and 1800s. And so I can imagine also what an exciting promise. Like, hey, you can get rich and get to travel the world and do whatever you want. That sounds like a pretty alluring job to me.
And not shower at all?
Yeah, okay, maybe not that part. And the scurvy part. Maybe we avoid the scurvy part.
You get all kinds of diseases?
Yeah, exactly. So it's worth noting that Olivier's architectural background likely played a role in his strategic approach to piracy. Architecture in the 17th and 18th century required a keen understanding of geometry, physics, and aesthetics. These skills translated well to naval engagements where positioning, force, and even psychological impact of a ship's appearance could determine the outcome of a confrontation. In the designs of the ships, fortifications, and city plans, an architect would find parallels in the organization of a pirate crew, the fortification of a stronghold, or the layout of a successful ambush. So his education would have given him an edge in understanding the structural weaknesses of ships as he targeted them in navigating the complex geopolitics of the colonial powers. As we delve deeper into his life, we will explore how his unique skill set allowed him to excel in a world dominated by the lawless and ruthless, and how his early life's influences shaped his career into the one of the most infamous pirates in history.
Nice. I'm in.
So the transition from privateering to piracy for Olivier was not marked by a single dramatic event, but by a gradual shift as the tides of war and peace ebbed and flowed. With the end of the War of the Spanish Succession, the peace treaty of Architect in 1713 left many privateers out of employment. Their letters of marque, licenses to pillage enemy ships, rendered void. The sea, once a grand stage for nationalistic endeavors, became a chessboard for personal ambition and survival. His choice to continue on the path of piracy was likely influenced by the political climate, economic opportunities, and while with Europe at peace, The waters were no longer a battle for nations, but a lucrative expanse for those bold enough to claim them. The once privateer found himself in the company of men who shared a common goal: wealth, regardless of its means of acquisition. Which, again, it appeals to the adventure in me, Jeffrey. I feel that, you know. Let's get rich, you know. Let's become a pirate and get rich.
I'm down. I can build a ship.
Okay.
I know a guy who's good with wood.
Yeah.
And well, where are we going? That's the first question.
Well, let's kind of deep dive into kind of the next area here.
You're like, we're going into the next part of the
we're going into the next part of the story.
Down your weird rabbit hole questions. It's fine. You know, it's fine. I get it.
Yeah. Well, as long as you can build a ship, man. No, you're all good. All right. So to continue on and act like they didn't totally happen, Olivier's expertise and leadership skills made this transition into piracy a natural progression. So in 1716, he found camaraderie amongst pirates, notably with some big names, Jeffrey. So you might actually know these people, which we've definitely talked about them on other pirate podcasts. But Benjamin Hornigold, a former privateer turned pirate. This alliance was strategic, as Hornigold commanded respect and power in the pirate Republic of Nassau.
Yeah, we talked about him.
Yeah, exactly. So I knew those names came up. So again, a legend. This guy is learning from all the pirate legends in the past.
Small world, huh? Small pirate world.
Yes, small pirate world. You know, there's only a couple islands out there that you can travel. So now Levasseur learned the nuances of piracy underneath Hornigold's tutelage, from navigating treacherous waters to engaging enemy vessels. This stint with Hornigold was brief, but obviously very formative to what he was going to become. Levasseur soon joined forces with another notorious pirate, Samuel Bellamy, known as Sam Black, so another legendary pirate. Bellamy's daring and democratic approach to piracy likely influenced Levasseur, who was carving out his own identity in this lawless realm. However, Levasseur was destined for a solitary fight. And by the end of 1716, he took the helm of his own destiny. So now we're going to get into him finally getting his own ship and becoming kind of the commander of his crew. His architectural precision and strategic mind were evident in the capture of La Louise, a Portuguese frigate that became his flagship. This vessel, known for its speed and firepower, was a perfect match for Levasseur's aggressive tactics. He transformed La Louise into a symbol of terror among the Brazilian coast, where he honed his reputation for brutality and brilliance.
Nice.
Yeah, right? Isn't that great?
That's very similar to the few other pirates that we've talked about. I feel obviously their reputation was everything.
Yes.
You know, the way you wanted to be able to mark their ship out from the crowd, just like I think it was Chris Avery that we talked about that was one of the first ones to do an all black sails or something, or like the symbol. Right. It's all about the visual aspect and your reputation. So that's such a, it seems like a cliche, but it makes sense. You know, you have to hone a brutalistic reputation, but I just wonder what that actually means. Yeah. And if that's leave no prisoners but one type thing, you know?
Yes.
And let him tell the story. The Jack Sparrow line said, where they're like, they say, he talks about all the stories of you know, obviously the famous pirate, and he goes, well, I wonder who's telling the stories, right? And it's like, there's always one left.
I remember. He's in the jail cell, and the guys are like, they say they leave no prisoners, and he's really? Yeah. Where the stories come from then, right?
Yeah.
That exactly. I think we even spoke about this on the previous pods with like Blackbeard. Like, this was a big tactic from Blackbeard. Like, if you instilled fear from the beginning, then like a lot of ships will just totally give up on principle. They'll see you coming and go, holy crap, we don't want anything to do with you. We're just surrender immediately. And so I'm sure that's like an incredible tactic at this time. And so you have to be brutal, but we're going to talk about just how brutal Levasseur had to be in some of his exploits. Ooh, it's about to get a little dark. So his attack on a slave ship from Angola was a grim testament to the era's ruthless nature and its commitment to plunder. You might. It was also a stark reminder of the human cost of piracy, a side of Levasseur that history would not forget. A merciless decision to abandon the human cargo to their fate was a dark reflection of the times and the man. So, yeah, I already dislike him.
He sunk the ship with slaves on it?
He did.
For what? That's... Yeah, that's bad.
It's real bad. So the Portuguese, determined to end this man's reign of terror, pursued Levasseur relentlessly, and the chase was a deadly dance across the Atlantic, with Levasseur narrowly evading capture time again and again. So he was very much like Jack Sparrow here. His knowledge of the seas, capricious nature, and his ship's robust construction allowed him to escape the Portuguese grasp, but not without a cost. The encounter at Etoba was a pivotal moment for Olivier. Although he lost 10 of his crew, the intelligence he gathered there led him to a rich French merchant. His plans, however, were dashed by a tempest that claimed his ship and many of his crew. Yet the Buzzard's legend, also his other nickname was the Buzzard because of his fighting tactics, so we're definitely going to touch on that too.
The Buzzard, I assume, meaning piles of dead people and buzzards coming to eat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get that picture clear for everyone listening. This dude's bad.
Yeah, this dude is ruthless. And so his legend was not to be diminished by this defeat. From the Tempest's grip, he salvaged treasure and commandeered a smaller vessel, continuing his escapades and evading the British warship HMS Scarborough in a display of naval mastery. So this man was smart. He was also utilizing, again, like his educated background to really outmaneuver people where, again, pirates were seen as just these lawless, like they had no rules to their engagement. This man was a tactician. He knew what he was doing when he was fighting other ships.
He had 110 IQ when the rest of the pirates typically have 80.
Exactly.
And suddenly he's a genius.
Suddenly he's a genius.
It's like, wait a minute. If I move this way, they're going to go that way.
Right.
Oh my God.
You imagine like that, like in his head, he just like goes Jimmy Neutron and he starts thinking of physics and he just starts seeing the the angles. And he's like, if I just turn 30 degrees to the left, that's how I imagine him.
What people back in this time period dreamed about? Do you ever wonder how their dreams were? Are they talking?
Wow.
Are they thinking and speaking to their friends in that language, you know, the way that they spoke back then?
Yeah.
With the thighs and the I don't know. That's an interesting thought for me, but we can pass on this Jeffrey rabbit hole and keep going.
Do pirates have dreams where their teeth fall out too? Is that also a pirate thing? Does that happen?
Except it's real. Yeah, except
it's real.
Actually falling out
because they don't brush. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. No, I like the tangent, Jeffrey. I'm all in. That immediately makes me think too. Like I've always, like, as a little side note, obviously we can skip over this as much as we want to, but I've also just thought about, like, if you know multiple languages, which language do you dream in? Does it just random every single night? That's
probably pretty answerable by Google,
right?
Because there's a lot of dual
there's gotta be
people out there.
All right, I'll research it off the pod. Yeah, okay, I get
it. It's something we should Google for sure. But the real question, Jacob, that we need to get to is, if you're a pirate and you're dreaming of a scene at night, you're picturing candles, I assume. Like, is everything in your dream lit by candles except for the daytime? I would assume. I imagine
your dreams are filled just like your dreams are now, with your modern trappings of everything around you.
I've never dreamed with a phone. Have you ever dreamed that you had a phone?
That's a really good question. I don't think so. Not that I can notably remember.
Drop it in the comments if you've dreamed and you've had a phone in your dream.
Yes,
I don't
please.
think I ever have.
Wow, Okay, now I'm lost. Okay,
use it all the time. Lost at sea, and we're back. Go.
And we're back to 1724. No,
okay, so it's been 24 years. How long has it been? Has it been a few years of him running?
Yes, it's definitely been a few years of his running, and really him just honing his skills as a ruthless pirate. But 1724 is really where he's coming into like the most the powerful time of his pirate career. It's funny to say pirate career like that, like it's a normal job.
It's a career, man.
It is a career.
It's a line of work.
He made a living out of it.
Could have just been an architect.
Yeah, exactly. Alongside his crew and the formidable John Taylor, Levasseur.
Wait, we know John. We talked about John Taylor. Sorry,
a part of his crew.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this dude like ran side by side with legends.
Yeah.
So he knew what he was doing. So not only was he smart on his own, he learned from the best of the best. This dude was a pirate prodigy, if I dare say. So during that time, along with John Taylor, Levasseur executed one of the most audacious heists in pirate history. The Portuguese galleon, I can't speak that today.
That's okay.
Nossa Senhora de Cabo, rich with the spoils of colonial exploitation, fell into his hands with little resistance. This seizure was not merely a testament to Levasseur's maritime prowess, but also a reflection of his architectural precision and planning. The division of the spoils from the galleon was a ceremony of wealth and distribution that would have made any monarch envious. Each pirate's share was an absolute fortune, with Levasseur taking the form of the Flaming Cross of Goa, an artifact of such opulence that it solidified his status among the greatest pirates of the Golden Age. So This man took down the best of the best as well. Again, a pirate prodigy, in truth. So that's kind of the height of his powers. Next, I really just kind of wanted to dive into some of the notable like battles and raids that he kind of went through, because I think this will also kind of illuminate some of his battle tactics and just some of his notoriety of why he kind of got the name that he did.
I do like that those pieces of pirate stories always make it more interesting. I think the big heist and the killing the ships and sinking them, cool, man. We know that's what pirates do. But
right.
I think the individual tactics and individual psychology, or lack thereof, of a pirate captain is always fun to get into, whether it's a myth or it's real. So
I mean, you could always be a bad pirate, Jeffrey. You could always be a pirate that is unsuccessful, like a mediocre pirate. You know,
I think if you're a mediocre pirate, you probably just
part of the crew,
died, or got caught. Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Do you think? I wonder how many people who wanted to become pirates did for one time. like for
how do you one time become a pirate?
You attack a ship and you lose.
And you lose means you're dead.
Exactly. That's what I mean. I just wonder how many people tried to be pirates and
who were not fit for the job,
captured or sank,
Yeah. Just like nowadays, people that interview and sometimes you're not the right person for the job. A lot of people tried out to be pirates and paid for it with their life, probably.
Right. We're hearing about the Michael Jordans and the LeBron Jameses of pirates. We don't talk about the high school dropout, who tried his best, but
that's our next podcast.
League,
That's our next one. We'll talk about a mediocre pirate next.
The forgotten pirate.
Yes. Ooh, I kind of like that. That's a mysterious title. We could work at that. So Olivier's moniker, Labousse or the Buzzard, was no accident. It was earned through a series of relentless naval engagements and strategic raids that showcased his ferocity and tactical acumen. Each battle and raid underneath his command was a testament to his ability to read the seas and his opponent's intentions, acting with precision that mirrored his architectural expertise. So apparently, knowing how to be an architect really helps you being a pirate.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that connects.
I mean, there's lots of connections. We already spoke about this.
Just being highly intelligent?
I mean, yes, like having a formal education probably went a long way of just understanding tactics and just like being that one step above. But even like the other connections too of like understanding that
maps,
like
probably.
Your ship looking a certain way, looking scary, could win you a battle without you having to fight. So just kind of like how your reputation precedes you. I can imagine if I have like a really cute ship sailing on the seas and then I see your monstrosity coming my way, I'm going to give up immediately, right? Like,
true.
And so that's kind of where they're saying, there were like little tactics like that connect it to his education and somehow made him a better tactician. So to talk about some of his exploits, Levasseur's campaigns along the Brazilian coast were marked by a series of swift strikes. His approach was methodical. He studied his targets, understood their routes, and then anticipated their moves. The buzzard strikes were calculated, exploiting weaknesses and striking where the enemy least expected. One of such engagements off the coast of Salvador saw Levasseur face a Portuguese man of war, a vessel far superior in size and armament. Employing a combination of deceptive maneuvers and sheer audacity, Levasseur outmaneuvered the man of war, capturing the ship and its valuable cargo. His victory was not just a display of naval prowess, but it was also a psychological triumph as it sent shockwaves through the maritime community, reinforcing the myth of his invincibility. So people thought he was invincible. Another one, which we kind of already touched on, was the infamous attack on the Angola slave ship. So perhaps one of the most controversial chapters in his career was the capture of an Angola slave ship. This incident laid bare the moral vacuum of the age of piracy, where humans' lives were, commodified. I hope I said that word right. And mercy was a rare luxury. Levasseur's decision to seize the ship's wealth and leave the human cargo to their fate was a grim reminder of the sea's brutalities, yet it also demonstrated his singular focus on treasure. So, yeah, he was a dick. The focus that would more contribute to his legendary status, but also mark him as one of history's most ruthless figures. So there's obviously a couple more, but I think we could probably touch on kind of his biggest heist in his entire career. So the capture of Nossa Senhora de Cabo, which we kind of touched on earlier, stands as the pinnacle of his career. The heist that required the utmost cunning and daring. The Portuguese galleon loaded with riches of the East was a floating citadel that would intimidate the bravest of hearts. Yet, with John Taylor at his side, Levasseur saw the opportunity, and in the aftermath of a storm that had left the galleon vulnerable, he decided to attack. This attack was characterized by a meticulous execution. Rather than a broadside assault, Levasseur used stealth and surprise, taking control of the galleon with minimal resistance. The treasure on board of the Nossa Senhora was beyond imagination. So again, they split that up. He got some super relics, religious relics as well from this. So this man accumulated a ton of treasure in his entire time as a pirate. With that, I think that's where we should lead into a break before we talk about the big twist coming up as well. Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got the platform that allows you to make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money. All in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters allows you to record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. And then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and with Spotify Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like having options like video podcasts and question and answer polls has allowed me to be creative on a whole nother level. I highly recommend that you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Thanks for listening to that ad, everyone. It helps support the podcast. And if you want to help support the podcast, you can check out our website at casualxhistory.com. We have merchandise and a little bit of infographics that we don't typically share. Post all of our podcast episodes there. It's just something fun, something light. Jacob made it. I'm acting like I made it. I didn't do a damn thing.
Jeffrey, you're getting good at these.
Just this like really this podcast and this little advert.
Yeah.
This is Jacob's pod, though, and we're here to talk about pirates.
That's right. And we're about to dive right back in and really talk about kind of like the slowdown in the final years and his eventual capture of Levasseur. So we're going to hear really about what ended up happening to this
bastard
pirate.
Gets his due.
Yeah, he should, dude. So as the golden age of piracy began to wane, so did the fortunes of Olivier Levasseur. The once feared name began to attract not only the envy of fellow pirates, but also the concerted efforts of international navies determined to bring an end to this pirate threat. Levasseur's final years were a mixture of continued defiance and an inevitable sense that his era was drawing to a close. following the monumental heist of the Nosa Senhora de Cabo, right? So the really big ship where they got a ton of gold. Yeah. Levasseur became one of the most hunted men on the seas. The European powers, particularly the Portuguese and the British, intensified their efforts to capture the pirate and his crew, employing their most experienced naval commanders and offering substantial rewards for information leading to his arrest. Levasseur, however, was not one to succumb to the pressure easily. Of course. Why did we think he was going to go quietly into the night? He continued his pirate activities, albeit with a growing sense of urgency and desperation. His moves became more erratic, and his choices became more dangerous. It was as if the very winds that had propelled him into greatness were now hastening his downfall. The end came not in a glorious sea battle, but through betrayal. So in 1730, after nearly 2 decades of piracy, Levasseur was captured on the island of Réunion, also known as Bourbon Island. So if those who know that, the details of his capture are murky, but it is believed that a former ally turned informant revealed Levasseur's whereabouts to the French authorities. Levasseur's trial was swift, and the outcome was a foregone conclusion. Of course, they're get rid of this guy, right? Yeah. The evidence against him was completely overwhelming, and the French were eager to make an example of the notorious pirate. In a final act of defiance, Levasseur remained unrepentant, his spirit unbroken even as the sentence was passed. His execution was a public spectacle, attended by a crowd of thirsty for a glimpse of the infamous pirate's end. As the noose was being placed around his neck, Levasseur is said to have thrown a cryptogram into the crowd, allegedly containing the location of his hidden treasure.
Oh, that's kind of sick. God,
right?
Why'd you have to make me like you a little bit? You're an awful guy, but that's pretty cool.
It was a final riddle and the last act of rebellion from a man who had outwitted his pursuers for so long. So that's kind of the twist now, is not only are we telling the pirate story, but there's more to the cryptogram. And kind of the theories behind it and what we have been able to decipher thus far. And
so the cryptogram, I'm assuming, leads to his fortune.
Right, exactly.
That they couldn't find.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Wow.
The fortune of his biggest heist, as well as just his entire pirate career.
Which he didn't spend,
I don't. How could you spend that much money as a pirate? I don't know. Maybe you could. Money goes fast, man.
Tortuga. Never mind.
Tortuga.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So
awful guy. Great idea.
Awful guy. Kind of a cool ending, but awful guy. So let's talk a little bit more about this cryptogram. So this cryptogram has become as legendary as the man himself. The coded message, if it indeed exists, has eluded decryption for centuries. It has sparked countless treasure hunts and inspired tales of hidden wealth beyond imagination. Some say that the cryptogram was a hoax or a final jest from the pirate known for his cunning. Others believed it holds the key to a treasure vast enough to change history. To this day, the cryptogram remains unsolved, and the treasure of Olivier Levasseur has not been found. It is a legacy that ensures his name will live on not just as a pirate, but also as a legend that continues to capture the imagination of adventurers and dreamers across the world. The story of his final years and his legacy offers a poignant conclusion to the tale of a man who is more than just a pirate. So there are some theories I'm going to throw out at you, because this is what I love about this podcast, is we get to talk about some of the most popular theories and where people feel like they've gotten close to this treasure. So there are a couple. So the cryptogram thrown out by him to the onlookers has tantalized treasure hunters and cryptonologists alike for almost 3 centuries. This cryptic message, often described as a series of symbols and codes, is rumored to conceal the location of his vast treasure. Various interpretations and purported solutions to the cryptogram have emerged over the years, each suggesting different location and narratives. Yet, no one has been able to conclusively prove their theory or unearth the treasure, which only adds to the mystique and allure of his legacy. One of the most compelling leads in the hunt for this treasure emerged in 1923 with the discovery of rock carvings and a cryptic map on Mahi Island in the Seychelles. This finding suggests a possible connection to the Levasseur, and indicated that the islands might have served as a haven or a burial site for his treasure. The discovery of human remains believed to be part of those pirates in the vicinity also lent credence to this theory that the Seychelles were a part of Levasseur's story. Adding yet another... Yeah, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Can I just say, if this man... Okay, he's supposed to be smart, but the fact that... I wouldn't assume he's also known for being, really well-versed in cryptography, right?
Right.
So if this pirate, who's a pirate, granted he was an architecture, whatever, he knew architecture and he had upbringing, I wouldn't imagine he would create the hardest cryptograph in the world that like no one could solve it years on, or technology couldn't solve it years on, would be my assumption. I don't think he's, the Zodiac killer, like skill in cryptographs would be my assumption.
Right.
But maybe he made up his own language. I don't know. Like, how does that even work? How does he create something like that remains unsolved if it was real?
That is interesting.
It would almost make me more... I would like the idea more that it would be fake because no one solved it for this, like, solved the actual cryptograph. But I don't know. Or are we assuming that we did solve the cryptograph and that we haven't found it off of the information?
Okay, so you're saying that, like, I think actually this is something where it can make sense for the time. I don't know about modern times, and like if someone has this information or it's been lost since then. Yeah. But the people that got the cryptogram, I can understand them being completely like thrown off by this, right? If you imagine, I'm sure education and just like that sort of thing was not a like widespread thing. It was very for like the elite few. And so the people that might have found the cryptogram might have been uneducated people just like looking for their payday, right? They're looking for hitting the lottery. And so I could also see it passing through the hands of just normal people. And they're just like, if I could just figure out what the heck this says. So maybe it wasn't like as hard as we suspect. Just to the people at that time, they weren't as educated. Therefore, it became more difficult for just the everyday person to be able to decipher. Like, again, like probably like I don't know what the literacy rates is in this time frame, but I know it's not good. Like even just reading normal English is difficult. I can only imagine that even if the cryptogram was halfway hard, that it would be, probably difficult for the most people who are just onlookers, right? People that maybe are not as educated. Yeah. And so that's what I kind of think of in my brain when I do that. But I believe it has been lost to time since. So they did know that they threw out this cryptogram. People had it. People tried to decipher it. But I'm not sure it's something that we have in our possession like now that we're able to analyze.
All I see online is that there's recreations.
Right.
Or that from the best knowledge that we have is claimed to be the original cryptogram is supposedly known and that's been reproduced, but there's no verifiable way of knowing it right now, it says. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, no one's decoded it. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Which means we are just the people to do it, Jeffrey. Listen, this is our fortune. This is our calling. I stumbled upon this for a reason, okay? Everybody listening here, because you guys are the first to listen to this podcast, you all get a cut too. You're our pirate crew. Let's go get this treasure, Jeff.
Can you post the supposed reproduction? Or can we find a photo of it?
I'll try.
Post it on
I'll
Instagram?
Do my best. Let's make it happen.
And then we can all talk about what it means in the comments.
Yes, let's all figure it out collectively together, and we'll split it evenly. I promise. Look, I'm good for my word.
Someone's got to have a boat somewhere.
Come on. Someone, we got to find this.
I can grow a beard somewhat.
So one little tagline just to give you, since this is also a question that I had immediately, was the estimated value of his treasure. So should it be found, it is said to exceed $4 billion, Jeffrey. $4 billion is buried in the sand on an island somewhere. It not just includes gold and silver, but also priceless historical artifacts from the period, of obviously colonial expansion. This treasure, if it exists, is not only a financial bonanza, I love that word, but a trove of historical significance that could provide invaluable insights into the golden age of piracy. So $4 billion. You think we could split that? I think I'd be fine with, a couple
Half,
billion.
Couple bill.
I think I could spend that. That'd be fine. But yeah, other than that, really, that's kind of the end of the story. Obviously, just bookmarking that he has left an indelible mark on history, both as a feared pirate, but also just as a straight up legendary figure because of his exploits. So kind of a wild story, but I knew as soon as I came across it, I was like, I have to tell this on the pod. I have to.
What if he's the one who put the treasure in the Curse of Oak Island?
What if that's his treasure?
What if it's his treasure that's supposedly
Jeffrey,
there,
we've done it
now underneath all of these certain traps?
We've cracked
lots of time. Because the Curse of Oak Island, people started hunting there since the late 1700s. Maybe it was off of this information.
Maybe
that's a theory. Maybe,
yeah. I mean, like it could make a connection there. We need to reach out to the show. For those who don't know, if you haven't seen it yet, there is actually a TV show that I used to watch a bunch, which is Curse of Oak Island. So not sponsor, but great freaking show. That is, again, it appeals to my adventurous and curious nature, where they believe that there's buried treasure and there's like booby trapped treasure on this island. And really, like, there's been like generations of people looking for it there. Yeah. And so, if you guys haven't checked out that show, I would recommend it. It's really good. I think it's on the History Channel, non-sponsor, but still a fantastic show.
Like they need a sponsor.
That's funny. Like they need one,
non-sponsored TV show ad for Curse of Oak Island. Yeah, that was probably a dumb theory because that was in, the Atlantic, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was sailing off of obviously in Portuguese, and not near Curse of Oak Island. But yeah, it was a thought that just came to me as I was thinking, where could the treasure be hidden?
No one's found it yet. Maybe they're just not looking in the right place. Just like when you lose your phone, yeah, sometimes it shows up in a really random spot.
But honestly, most times it's always in the most obvious place that you just overlooked.
Maybe. So that's really my story today, Jeff. So beyond that, we can kind of jump into our Leo game if you're ready for it. And we can kind of go from there.
Welcome back, brave time travelers, to Time Traveler Trivia. I'm Leo, your ethereal guide. Are you ready for a challenge that transcends the ages? Here's how our game works. In each round, I will regale you with 3 tales from the vast corridors of time. These tales will be strange, bewildering, and sometimes downright wacky. But here's the twist. Only one of these stories is a true piece of historical lore, while the others are clever fabrications from my ghostly imagination. Your task, to use your knowledge, intuition, and perhaps a bit of luck to discern the real historical event from the phantasmal fiction.
Man, Leo bumps.
Dude, it's a bop.
Music.
It's a bop. I was dancing the whole time. I wish there was a video version of this podcast because you see
Can we get the music
dancing.
Without Leo? Sorry, Leo.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I'll have to pull it next time for the pod and just play just the music.
Just the music.
Yeah. All right. So you ready to dive into round 1, Jeffrey? Let's get into it.
Round 1, the pineapple rent. In 18th century England, did the rarity and high cost of pineapples lead to a brief fad where people would rent the fruit as a status symbol for their dinner parties without actually consuming it? The Great Butter Rebellion. Was there a student uprising at Harvard University in the 19th century known as the Great Butter Rebellion over the poor quality of butter served in the dining halls? Chocolate-covered garlic craze. In 17th century France, did the court of King Louis XIV develop an obsession with chocolate-covered garlic, believing it to be the secret to eternal youth?
I like that it's all food themed. I'm for it.
Butter uprising. I'm about to have a butter uprising in my home. I need new butter. Yeah.
About to have a butter uprising myself.
Yeah.
No, honestly, like the third one is intriguing. I feel like their history is sprinkled with people thinking that they have the elixir for living forever, and then they always die. So I feel like that's really common. I really like the pineapple one though.
So why don't we just do this?
Yeah.
Let's just. Well, would you eat chocolate covered garlic? I just want to ask you that real quick because I have a thought. Maybe we should go try it and come back next week and see.
Then we choose our answers.
Then we choose our answer. Then.
Right. It's all a cliffhanger. Yeah. Honestly, I would do it on a dare, but I don't think I would like be able to eat that.
I love garlic, man. I do
too, but like that with chocolate is not a good mix, dude.
The pineapple thing seems somewhat real also, oddly to me, because I can't remember what Leo said or what time period it was, but
it says the 18th century.
18th
England.
century. Yeah, I mean, I could believe that pineapples were rare, and
me
they became
too.
a status symbol. But I think I have my answer that I want to go with out of the three. So
you like butter too much. I think I'm going to go with pineapple because I'm thinking of 18th century England, and I'm imagining that it takes a long time to ship those kind of tropical fruits over there, and so I can totally understand that that's going to be rare. It seems crazy. All of the stories seem crazy, but I feel like I lean towards pineapple. Oh, I mean, chocolate covered garlic could work too, man. I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to pineapple.
Yeah, so I'm going with the human aspect here that I think is just funny.
Okay.
Chocolate covered garlic is my final answer.
Wow. I mean, I could have gone either way. So to be fair, all right. So let's see what our answers are. All right. First answer is pineapple rent. In 18th century England, pineapples were so rare and expensive that they were often rented for display at dinner parties rather than eaten. They became a symbol of wealth and status during this period. Okay. That makes sense, though. It still makes sense, but I could have gone either way with the garlic as well.
I still think the garlic covered in chocolate is just a great idea that I need to explore.
We need everybody listening to the podcast who stuck around this far. We all need to try it, and I need to see these results. I'm going to post a poll. Does chocolate and garlic work together? And I need your honest opinions based on your experience, okay? That means you too, Jeffrey.
Chopped garlic, it doesn't have to be full.
Yeah, it can be chopped. Yeah. Sure. Just has to be chocolate and garlic together.
I think it's a worthy try.
It is a worthy try. All right, let's hop into round 2, Jeff.
Round 2, the Emperor of Ice Cream. In the 17th century, did an Italian duke become so enamored with the newly invented gelato that he established an official court position, the Emperor of Ice Cream, to oversee its production and ensure its quality. The king who taxed shadows. In ancient Greece, was there a ruler who levied a tax on citizens based on the length of their shadows at noon as a means of determining wealth and property size? The Pirate Queen. Did a 16th century Irish noblewoman named Grace O'Malley command a fleet of ships, becoming a pirate queen who defied the English rule and even met with Queen Elizabeth?
Leo kind of cut off there.
Queen Elizabeth the First.
Queen Elizabeth.
That's what it cut off.
Just wanted to make sure I was knowing which queen we're talking about.
He had to leave in a hurry. He recorded really quickly in the booth, so he had something he had to do.
I know the answer to this one, Jacob.
Do you really?
I do, but I'll let you guess first if you want to.
Oh man,
what you guessed first?
Honestly,
I can't say I know the answer and then give you the answer.
The Pirate Queen is interesting to me. Just because, like, that name sticks out to me, Grace O'Malley. And if that's the truth, if Grace O'Malley, like, became a pirate queen and stuff like that, that's also a pirate episode that we're going to have to do in the future because I want to hear a lot about that. So I don't know why I feel like I want to go for that one. The king who taxed shadows. And then gelato. Like, I get it, dude. Like, I would totally be a ruler of gelato. Like, that would be me today.
Seems like the real thing to do,
It does. It seems like that's a boss move. Securing your legacy for future generations, That's the gelato king. So I'm gonna go with the Pirate Queen just because I find that, like, that name sticks with me, and I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but that's my answer. All right,
now your vague ideas. Okay, yeah.
Now you're safe. What's your answer?
That's Grace O'Malley.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
So let's see if we are correct, Jeffrey. All right. The Pirate Queen is true. I'm on a roll. Okay. Grace O'Malley was a 16th century Irish nobleman who indeed led a fleet of ships that was known as the Pirate Queen. She was a formidable figure that even negotiated with Queen Elizabeth I. Wow. Okay. So definitely a podcast that we're going to have to do because that is awesome. And again, good choice. Where did you know this from, Jeffrey? Did you just hear about this, randomly?
Yeah, just in my wealth and depth of pirate knowledge.
Right. Your historic knowledge from this show.
No, just something I've known about. It's like been touched on. I just knew the name and was a pirate. I didn't know the Queen Elizabeth part of it, which would be interesting to dive into for a podcast. But
yeah, I had no context besides the name. I just knew that name sounded so familiar that I was like, Grace O'Malley. That makes total sense to me.
We probably touched on it in one of our other episodes, whether it was in, I don't know, maybe we didn't, but that's what my mind goes to.
How many episodes have we done so far, man? My memory.
We're up to 94, I think. So we're 6 away from, this will be a 95th episode. So on the 100th episode, we'll have to do something fun.
Yeah, we have to do something special for the 100th. That'll be amazing. I know. We'll have to plan something really cool for that.
Yeah.
All right. So third and final round, Jeffrey. Let's get it.
If you're perfect, I'm gonna call an audit, and I'm gonna call Julie.
You go ahead.
I
promise. I promise you, no cheating was done here today. I'm just on my game today randomly. Don't worry, I'll go back to sucking next week. Don't worry about it.
Round 3: The Great Book Escape. During World War II, did a group of POWs use hollowed-out books to smuggle tools and maps, ultimately leading to a mass escape from a German prison camp? Casanova's daring departure. Is it true that the famous lover and adventurer Giacomo Casanova once escaped from the notorious Leeds prison of Venice using a makeshift rope made of bedsheets? The balloon breakout. In the 18th century, did 2 Frenchmen craft a hot air balloon inside the Bastille and fly to freedom, marking the world's first aerial escape from a prison?
Yeah, no.
There's no way. Want it to be real because that is amazing.
It sounds amazing, but you know how many balloons it takes to carry a man? You've seen those videos.
How many balloons?
I don't know.
We're just talking one giant hot air balloon.
Okay. Yes, you're right. Sorry. How did I read that as multiple balloons?
Yeah.
So
outside
hot
the
air
rec
balloons.
time, you know how long it takes to heat up a hot air balloon with modern fire. Like imagine
dude.
We know this is fake, okay? But imagine you're in rec time and suddenly 2 guys pull out this huge balloon, I assume is made out of bed sheets and sewn together. This is my picture of it.
Yeah, not well crafted.
And then you're creating fire, and then you have to put it over the fire. You're telling me in your 30-minute to an hour rec time, I'm assuming that's what you would have. Again, this is all based on a few assumptions, but I feel like they're pretty good assumptions that no one...
Are you sure about that?
Yeah. No security guard is going to see you... fly at first of all, even fill up the makeshift hot air balloon, and then
those prison guards would be waiting for you. They'd be waiting for you, just
surprise, motherfucker.
Just waiting with guns.
I like how you waited to the last question to pull out any soundboard.
Yeah, I thought it was appropriate.
We've had for a minute. Yeah, I picture, and then the third problem with that is you're then holding on as it floats you away, and you can't control where it goes.
Yeah,
you can't control. I guess you can control when the hot air leaves if you're trying to lift up and I don't know, let hot air out.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just holding on for dear life. You've seen those. Again, sorry to rant, but you've seen those challenges where you have to hold onto a bar for 3 minutes and you can't do it.
Oh yeah, the upper body strength,
lactic acid in your arms. You tell me this dude held on for 30 minutes to get him out of this prison? No, not.
Dude, I'm just visualizing this man holding on to a pile of bed sheets in the air, just seeing him fly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Exactly.
Okay. Sorry. Enough with the sound effects. We can. Yeah, I really
Just
feel
implement them earlier because this seems abrasive to my ears.
I think it's great. I think it's perfect, and I think I really timed this out well.
I know. I think I have an answer. Do you have one? Sorry to cut you off, but if you want to rant on one of these 3 crazy stories, please.
I'm going 3 for 3 on number 1.
Oh, screw you!
Yeah,
I need an audit. I need a.
No, why do you audit? Do you know this is
in the room.
Correct? I swear, nothing has changed. Yeah. I don't even know if it's correct yet. We don't know if it's correct yet, Jeffrey. Yes, but I have a strong feeling that's
my assumption
the truth,
as well.
Right?
My assumption is number 1 as well. So.
That's the most plausible. Hollowed out books to smuggle tools and maps. That seems very reasonable.
What's the second one again?
The second one is Casanova's daring departure. The adventurer Casanova once escaped the notorious Leeds prison of Venice using a makeshift rope made out of bed sheets.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to go with that one, even though I think the first answer is correct.
Okay,
because it's the only way I can tie.
You're just covering your bases. You have to stick to your guns,
everyone
buddy. Pick
knows,
one.
Just
pick
for the
one.
Crowd. Everyone knows. I think number 1 is real, but I'm going for number 2.
Okay,
purely for the game and seeing if we're wrong, then I can.
What a cop out! What a cop out, guys! You hear this, man?
I'm ready for the cop out. I'm just trying to win.
All right, are we ready? Are we ready to reveal the final answer? Let's see. And the final one is Casanova's daring departure.
Oh my god!
Known for his escape from Leeds prison in Venice of 1756, he crafted a rope out of bed linens, which he used to climb onto the roof and escape to freedom. Wow.
And here I was being like,
wow.
Number 1, we know his number 1's correct.
Yeah, you're going to audit me?
Correct.
I couldn't even go perfect this week. Dang it.
Yeah. So we're
close.
tied. Are we going to end on a tie?
I guess we have to. I don't have an additional bonus round, Jeffrey.
That's all right. That's okay.
We'll leave it till next week. Winner takes all.
10.
Yes.
Just me and you.
Rock, paper, scissors right now. Okay. Nobody will be able to watch it. You ready?
We're doing paper, scissors, rock. Show me what you got. We're going old school rules or we're going new school?
Old school, baby. Old school all the way.
Ready? Paper, scissors, rock.
Show me what you got.
Oh, you saw me.
I had rock.
There's a delay.
Yep. No, there's no delay. I win. I won fair and square.
All right.
Listen, beautiful. Beautiful. What a great way to end this podcast, Jeffrey. I had a blast. Thank you for listening to my pirate story. And thank you, everybody who has continued to listen to our podcast. If you liked it and you like what we do here, please go ahead and share with your friends. Even if you don't think they'll like it, please give it to them anyway.
Force it. Some hate comments.
Yeah. Force it down their throats. Make sure that they listen to this podcast and and as well as something I want to mention too. Sorry, as I'm in my jokes here. If someone if you guys would please go ahead and rate our podcast too. That really does help us out a bunch on a very serious note. But we really do appreciate you guys listening. Super excited for next week, Jeffrey, where we venture to the Wild West.